Welcome back to Subscription Box Basics, the podcast. This is Renee, and I am here with Julie, and we are really excited this week to be talking about one of our programs that just wrapped up, the Box Besties. So this is a Box Besties recap.
It was so much fun. We did a beta round, which if you haven't done anything in beta before, or you should know that a beta round allows for a lot of flexibility. We're learning things on the fly, getting a lot of feedback, and we learned a lot. And we're going to tell you the achievements and some of the topics we talked about, and we're going to tell you about what's next. And if you're interested in joining the next cohort of Box Besties, which, by the way, is launching on August 1st. So we've already got our wait list. You can check that out at boxbesties.com.
And if you're thinking, what is Box Besties? Let's fill you in a little bit on what the actual program is first. So Box Besties is a small group mastermind that we are creating. And that is one of the things we'll pop into that more a little bit, but we were calling it a small group coaching program. And we really in our heads, we knew it was a mastermind, but now we are calling it a mastermind. So Julie, do you want to talk a little bit? Should we break down what the 6 weeks include?
Totally. It was so much fun. My bucket was so filled during these 6 weeks. And what we did was we really built this way to connect with each other, not just on the weekly Zoom calls, but having that access all week long. And so we had the once weekly Zoom calls to network together and to do our hot seats, which are just laser focused coaching segments. Think about like you have 15 minutes on this call, you bring one question as a group, we all mastermind together to come up with solutions to the issue that you brought to the table. So that's what a hot seat is. But beyond those weekly calls, we had Voxer access to the entire group. And if you don't know what Voxer is, it is a walkie-talkie style app that you can listen to on the fly, or you can come back to it later. So like if you're at work and you can check messages later, that's totally fine too. You can participate. Many of our Box Besties actually did work full-time jobs and did their boxes in the margins, nights, weekends, lunch hours, things like that. But what I loved most about that combination of the weekly in-person live Zoom calls and the Voxer access is that you didn't skip a beat. You had constant communication. And one of our Box Besties actually said, I looked forward to the weekly meetup and the Voxer access that was open all the time. It was an excellent combination. Hot seats were a great learning experience. I love hearing your wise responses to various questions based on your experience. And I appreciated your kind spirit towards everyone. Your suggestions during my hot seat were super helpful. So I feel like that's one of those things right there. The hot seats and the live calls and the Voxer access is one of the best combinations you can have to not only include networking, but coaching.
Could not agree more. And when we dreamed up this idea and this program, we've both, and we know everyone listening, there's always been those moments as a business owner, let alone a box business owner, where you're just craving a support system. You have your friends, you have your family, you could even have coworkers or people on your team. But when you are in the trenches and you're really having these day-to-day struggles and you need those people, whether it's to pop ideas back and forth off of or to vent to, just having people that are going through the same struggles with you, I feel like that's what we wanted to put together and create this program for. And I really feel like that is what happened. Everyone found their people, even if it's just for that short period of time, finding those people that are going through your struggles really helps you as a business owner know who to go to have someone to support you, but also to help you feel like you're not alone.
Yeah. I remember working a corporate job and we would have meetings and we would bring up topics and just spitball around the room, and everyone would throw in their ideas or give their support. And I think about that when you're running a subscription box business and you're likely a solo entrepreneur, it can get really lonely. And I could only ask my husband or my mom or one of my friends so much. And they were just like whoosh, over their head. Like, I don't understand what you're even asking me.
Like, what is a subscription box?
Yeah. Like what I have no idea how to answer. And so finding the right people in the room that are going through the same things, but are also smart and ambitious and generous with their time and their feedback, it can make such a difference. And I have to read another quote from one of our box besties during one of our calls. She had said, I'm super grateful for this group and everything I've gotten out of it. I feel like at the beginning of this, really the whole process of starting a business, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really know where to turn for learning how to do stuff. And it's been nice to have somebody to talk to who is both going through the same process, but also knew what they were doing. She basically was just saying that she didn't feel alone anymore.
Absolutely. And not only you and I, Julie, but everyone giving feedback, and people have been where you are right now, and people can help you if it's a product sourcing or a website opinion. So I think during the hot seat coaching calls, for example, not only were Julie and I giving advice, but every single person had such good advice when someone came to the group with a struggle or
Yeah.
a question or what should I do? The whole group really could give their input and suggestions. And whether it was on the Voxer access back and forth through all of us or on these Zoom calls, I feel like when anyone put anything out in the group, they definitely would get feedback from the collective group. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah, that's what's different about a mastermind versus group coaching. And that's why we've changed the language of how we are sharing details about our Box Besties program. The difference between group coaching and masterminding is in group coaching, it would be Renee and I just coaching, whereas in a mastermind, it's the collective genius of the entire room. The genius and the generosity, those are, I feel like, the two core pieces of a mastermind. So if you've never been in a mastermind before, this might be your first mastermind, then that's what you can expect. You can expect to have an entire team kind of rooting behind you, sharing different perspectives. It's not just Renee and I saying, well, this is how it is. Sure, we can share our experience, but other people in the room are going to share their experiences as well and are likely going through the same things as you. So that's why we're calling it a small group mastermind now. And we are limiting it to a very small group, 10 or less, because we want to make sure that there is enough time for you to really get to know each other, for everybody to have their hot seat and to really walk away feeling like they have established relationships and have their new box besties.
And it is something too, like moving on, one of the things too that it is included that we haven't even mentioned yet is a Box Besties retreat ticket. So in the future, whether it is Box Besties retreat in person, which we plan to do in early October. So whether you're
Details soon.
Yes, details soon. Whether you're coming to that retreat because your ticket is included as a Box Besties participant or going to a different event, we already have people Sub-Summit, for example, this upcoming summer. Some of our Box Besties are talking about being roommates. We're all talking about meeting up. So it really is making those connections that go so much farther than just the 6 weeks. We're really laying the foundation for support partners that will help carry you through, hopefully, your whole subscription box business journey. And I think, Julie, one of the things you and me really pride ourselves in that kind of organically happened is we are such good partners together, you and me, and we both have our own little zones of genius. But with this whole group and this collectiveness, it's things that we wouldn't even think of either. So it's not only do you get the two coaches, but you get all of these other people that are right in the trenches with you that have their genius too.
Yeah, it is. It's so special. It makes business feel easier, more fun, and just getting advice from lots of people can go so far. And our idea with the Box Besties program is it is a 6-week container. Like those are the 6 weeks that we spend together. But then in the last week, we equip our Box Besties with how to continue on this path with your new Box Besties as a peer-led mastermind. So rather than Renee and I leading the weekly calls, maybe they meet once a month, or maybe they meet twice a month. And how do they manage that moving forward as a peer-led mastermind? So one of the things that we didn't talk about yet is the resources that are involved. And when we first dreamt up this project, we thought, okay, we're going to create 6 micro trainings that we're going to deliver each week. And these are the topics it's going to be. But when we started talking to our Box Besties group and learning about where they are in their business and where they need help, we decided to switch it up and say, okay, what is it that you guys want to work on? And some of the topics that we talked about through the 6 weeks were, we talked about influencers. We talked about how to run giveaways. We talked about planning and projections, standard operating procedures, managing excess inventory, so many different topics. And as we would uncover a problem area, we had this online hub for our Box Besties where we not only put the call replays so they could reflect back and rewatch any of those, but we put resources in there. So when we were talking about planning, we dropped our master planning spreadsheet in there with a video training. When we were talking about projections, we dropped our magic projections calculator in there with training. And so they got equipped with training topics that we uncovered that they needed. It wasn't one of those things where here's the 6 things you're going to learn. This was based off of need. And now our Box Besties have unlimited lifetime access to that content, and they can go back at any time when they need it. And I think that is a huge part of the program, that you're going to get tools and resources based off of what you and your colleagues need.
It's something, and you just said that, but I wanted to make sure I say it again too, that beyond those 6 weeks, they'll have access to those things. So it is so huge. I think if it was something like we originally dreamt up where we just focused on it for that 1 week, I think it would have fizzled, or if it was something people couldn't do right in that time, it would get thrown on the back burner and not get completed. But now with access to those resources for a lifetime, I think it's such a good thing to go visit every once in a while and be like, you know what, it's time for a giveaway. Let me go get that resource that I had from Box Besties, or I need to plan again. Let me go jump into that. So I feel like the lifetime of the resources that you get within this program is something that you'll continue to use forever as well.
Yeah, I agree. And those resources are really well-oiled machines. Like they're the resources that we used to run Sparkle Hustle Grow. It's video training to show you exactly how to use it. They're templates, they're plug and play. It's so simple. And I know I've heard from a couple of the people already using some of those templates, and it's like mind blown because they didn't have to create something from scratch. They just got what they needed. So I'm really excited about that part of it. Why don't we celebrate some of the achievements that some of our Box Besties experienced just during that 6-week timeframe of the spring cohort. So I'll start by saying one of our Box Besties made it to the 2nd round of the Sub Summit pitch competition. And what's so cool about that is, shout out to Jenny. What's so cool about that is she had everyone cheering her on. She didn't have to feel alone. And she was actually able to share her pitch script with us and her video, her first round video. And we were as a group, as a collective mastermind, able to not only cheer her on, but give her some feedback on like, hey, that was so great. Have you considered putting this statistic in there or whatever, and helped her tighten up her pitch. And I think that having that in your back pocket when you're trying to pitch something, it can be so scary pitching yourself in such a high stakes competition. You can win $50,000 in prizes with this pitch competition. So we're really proud of her. And that was one of the things that she went through during the 6 weeks.
And even though Jenny was the one to make it to the second round, I think it's also worth noting that a couple other just applied to the pitch competition too, because
Mhm.
of the conversations that we were having in
Yep.
Voxer and on Zoom. I think it is something that the group put themselves outside of their comfort zone and never would have even applied, let alone Jenny making it to the next round. So I think just having that support system to tell you to take the leap and do the first video is
Yep.
something that is worth an accomplishment in itself, because now they have that under their belt, and whether it's next year at the pitch competition again or something else, they have that little extra confidence boost that they've already done something like this too.
Yeah. And speaking of Sub Summit, a couple of them are now going to be Sub Summit ambassadors. That was one of the things that was uncovered in the conversation, that you can be an ambassador at Sub Summit and actually get involved. So I'm really excited for those that are doing that.
And another one of our achievements by one of our box besties was they came to us during the hot seat and got clarity on adding a new offer, actually a second box for their same target market, but older age audience. So that was something that we all worked through together, both on Zoom and Voxer. Just watching that progression throughout the 6 weeks of it being in the idea stage to sending out examples and getting people on board to having a first bulk order was really fun in that time to watch and take place and really give the box wings.
Yeah, I remember very clearly there was a day in Voxer that you were just on fire, because she was asking, okay, I'm going to launch this new offer. What do I even do? And we're like, treat it like a real launch and do XYZ. And you just jumped in there and you said, okay, in day 30, do this, and day 15, do this. Like, you basically mapped out her entire launch runway right in Voxer for her. And I remember her just being so grateful for that, because it was one of those things where she's like, I knew I needed a launch runway, but I wasn't sure. It's been so long since I launched my box. I don't remember exactly how to ramp it up. And so you just jumped in there and you were just, like I said, on fire that day, like mapping it out for her. It was
Well, I
awesome.
thank you. It is, again, it's a testimony to the power of multiple minds. It's
Yeah.
something that when you're in there and you're working, you don't necessarily think of. But for me, marketing is my zone. I'm like, ooh, new launch, like here I come. So that is something that fires me up. So it is easier for me to help you work through that. I mean, and everyone has their zones where you throw a question out and someone is like, you know what, this is where I can give a lot of feedback. So again, it was all an achievement on her and her progression, but having us all help collectively really helped move that process along too.
I think that it's important to say that some of the achievements might not be tangible, like launching a new offer, but the amount of confidence that I saw from week 1 to week 6 was incredible. And the fact that the box besties were holding each other accountable for other things. I remember very specifically, one of the box besties said, I've been dragging my feet on doing this, or actually 2 of them, I remember. I've been dragging my feet on doing these inserts, and then I've been dragging my feet on doing some of this social media promotional stuff I don't really love to do. But once they brought it to the table, we cheered them on. We're like, you can do this. Here's some tips. I know everyone else was chiming in, and we asked them in the Voxer thread, let us know when you've done this so we can just to hold you accountable. And I think that's one of the things that when you are a solopreneur, there's nobody to hold you accountable other than if you make yourself a little to-do list or put it on your calendar, but there's no one there to ask you, what can I do to help you get through this? Or let me know when you finish this. Give me a deadline. I remember asking a couple of people, like, when do you think you can finish this by? And then we checked in on them. And so that's something that is definitely an achievement and something super helpful in the entire program.
And something that, without sounding super cheesy, is priceless. Like accountability, I think it's so easy when you're on your own, and I'm guilty of this too. You have this idea, you're like, I'm going to do this, but then if you don't give yourself a deadline or put it out into the world, it just goes back on the back burner and doesn't come into fruition. But if you tell someone, and if you have this group of people you're comfortable telling, that you don't have to necessarily tell the whole world, just 8 to 10 people,
Right.
then you still keep yourself accountable, and are a million times more likely to get it done than just having it in your head and letting it go away. And one of the last achievements we want to spotlight is one of our box besties. She came to us and she was looking for advice from changing her box from a monthly formula to a quarterly box. And she's still in the process of doing this, but it was something that we have someone who already does a quarterly box who was able to give a little advice. Julie and myself were able to chime in, and working through this process with your box besties rather than going at it alone. She's taking strides in not only transforming it from monthly to quarterly, but figuring out how to supplement from month to month with adding extra revenue. I know just this week we were talking something she could add and do that would make up some of that lost revenue. So really having people who understand the reoccurring revenue cycle and understand that if you're getting paid quarterly rather than monthly, things will look different. And how can
Mhm.
you supplement that has been really big, I think, to have this group to help chime in on things.
Yeah, I agree. And in that type of moment, it's easy for someone that doesn't understand the business to be like, cool, that sounds good. You're going from monthly to quarterly. Awesome. But when you're in a room with other people who run that same type of business, they can ask you the right types of questions too. Like, how many people will you need to make up for lost subscribers as you change your business model? Think like asking the harder questions rather than just giving you a thumbs up and be like, yeah, good luck. Diving deeper into thinking about, like, brainstorming, what other challenges might you have during that time? How are you going to communicate it to your customers? So having that masterminding and that hot seat opportunity is the perfect time to, when you have like big changes on the horizon. So I was really happy that she got some clarity out of her hot seat from that. So let's talk a little bit about this upcoming cohort. So as I mentioned earlier, our fall cohort starts August 1st. You can actually apply now. And yes, I said apply. That's one of the changes that we're making. We're going to have an application. We want to make sure that the people that join Box Besties are in or around the same season of their business. So Box Besties is for you if you're launched already and you're under, say, 250 or so subscribers. That's a very loose number. That doesn't mean if you are at 251, you don't qualify. The fact is that we're trying to help the subscription box entrepreneurs that are in those early stages, and they're going to have similar challenges and similar experiences versus those who are scaling. So we do have that application open now, but you can also win a seat in Box Besties. We are giving away one seat. If you check the show notes, we have the link to the giveaway, which is running now, April 24th through May 3rd. So make sure that you go check that out.
And I think one of the things we've told our spring box besties this, we couldn't have dreamt up a better group of first people to go through this program.
Yes.
Everyone was in the same range of subscribers and how long-ish they've been a box owner. It was really such a good mix, both of business boxes that they had. They complemented each other, that we were like, how could we do this again? So I think that was one of the things that made the application an easy add for us, because we're like, we need this complementary people in the same group again, because it worked out so well that this first round, that we couldn't have dreamt it up better, the people that were in the group. So we are now going to create that again every single time.
Yes. So if you're wondering if this might be for you, Go check out boxbesties.com. And I think you'll be very clear once you read more of the details. Like, is this for me? And if you're not sure, you can chat with us. You can either DM us in Instagram or on that same page, boxbesties.com. There's a little chat bubble in the bottom right. That's Renee and I on the other side. It is not AI. It is not a bot. It's actually us. And if we're not on live, you can leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We want this to be a good fit. And if you message us and tell us where you're at and it's not a good fit, we'll be completely honest with you and point you in the direction of another resource that might be a better fit for you. The program price is $997. That's going to include the 6 weeks of the cohort. That includes a welcome gift, and that includes the retreat ticket, which again, our retreat is going to be early October. It's going to be stateside. And we're going to be dropping details on that soon. So boxbesties.com, check it out. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. I think there is one more quote from one of our box besties that I think I can read, and it might help you decide if this is for you or not. She said, "It's really been helpful to hear everyone else talking about their challenges, even though I know it's frustrating. I don't know anyone else that has a business like this. And so sometimes it can feel really isolating and you feel like you just are on an island. And so to hear everyone else is having wins and successes, but also similar struggles is just been really nice in a way, reassuring. So we get real in this group, talk about wins. We start our Zooms with what we're grateful for. It is a positive environment. But it is also somewhere where you can be real and talk about your struggles and have your people. 6 weeks may not feel like a long time, but there is so much growth that takes place during that time on a group level, but on a personal level too. So if you feel like you're on an island, at least go to boxbesties.com and see if this is for you, because everyone in this group, including myself and Julie, have felt that way. And we are here to make that island a little less lonely.
Yes. And we look forward to seeing your application. We want to make sure you understand that this is a safe space too. And that's why we can go deep on your business and help with big challenges and just set you up with that support system that you've been craving. We look forward to seeing your application and building the next cohort of Box Besties. For those who are Box Besties already, we cannot wait to meet you in real life at Sub Summit and this fall's retreat. Thanks for listening today, guys. Go check out boxbesties.com and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.